Hey everyone, welcome to lesson number 2. Today we're going to go over some of the basics of how to sit at the piano. We'll talk about finger numbers and we'll do some simple exercises to get your fingers moving on those keys. It's important to know how to properly sit at the piano as it allows you to get the most power and control out of your fingers with a minimal amount of effort. So let's start with one of the most important things, posture. You always want to keep your back straight. That's pretty simple. Don't slouch your back or hunch your shoulders forward. Always keep it straight. Second, your feet should always be flat on the floor. Now let's look at the bench. You might feel like you should center yourself on the piano bench, but you actually want to sit a little bit towards the front. You don't want to feel like you're falling off the bench, but you do want to feel like you're leaning a little bit into the piano when you're playing. Next, let's talk about how far away you should be from the keys. If you hold your arms out perfectly straight, your knuckles should touch the board on the back of the keys. If you're playing on a keyboard, just pretend there's a board on the back end of the keys and that's where your knuckles should be. So move your bench as needed to get your knuckles in the right spot. If you see that your arms are bent a little bit, then you're just a little bit too close, so adjust as needed. Looking at your arms, when you're resting your hands on the keys, your arms should be about flat and parallel with the ground. If you have an adjustable bench or chair, you can adjust the seat height as needed. You can also adjust the height on the keyboard stand if you're playing on a keyboard. If you're having trouble getting your keyboard stand at the right height, watch my lesson video 2C for some tips. The last thing I'm going to talk about is your finger position. When your fingers are resting on the keys, they should be curved so that when you lift your finger up and down, you're hitting the keys more or less perpendicularly with the tip of your finger. This is curving your fingers too little, and this is too much. You just want to find a nice middle ground. The exception to this is with your thumb. With your thumb, you're going to be hitting the keys with the side of it, like this. The number one most important thing in all of this is that everything needs to be relaxed. If you're not relaxed, you can injure yourself. And it might seem silly that you could injure yourself doing something like playing the piano, but it's definitely possible and it's not something you should ignore. Your body is going through a lot of motions that it's not familiar with, and your fingers and body can tighten up a bit if you don't actively think about keeping yourself relaxed. If you're having trouble staying relaxed, try playing slower or just stop, take a break, and come back later. Some minor discomfort is normal at first, but if you feel any pain at all, stop playing immediately. Again, your body's adjusting to unfamiliar movements and positions, and it will take some time to adapt. So if you feel any pain, take a break, and then take it easy when you do come back. If you do end up injuring yourself, it can take months to recover, and that's not something you want to deal with. So let's move on to finger numbers. Your thumb is always number 1, no matter which hand you're looking at. Your index finger is always number 2, your middle finger number 3, your ring finger number 4, and your pinky is number 5. So you'll notice that the numbering is kind of mirrored between hands, but just remember that your thumb is always number 1, and you can figure out the rest of your finger numbers from there. So let's look at a simple finger exercise. At the top, I've shown a small diagram of keys. You'll notice that your piano has a bunch of black keys in groups of 2s and 3s. For this exercise, I want you to place fingers 2 and 3 of your right hand, which is your index and middle fingers, on the group of 2 black keys near the center of your piano, like I've shown. Feel free to pause the video at any point to collect yourself and make sure you get your fingers on the right keys. For these exercises, your fingers should always be resting on the keys shown, so you shouldn't need to look at your hands when playing. Now in this exercise, you see a series of 2s and 3s, which is the order I want you to press these keys with your fingers. You read it just like a book, from left to right. When you're first trying these exercises, I want you to focus on getting the correct fingering and playing the notes in the right order. Once you have that down, you're going to want to play this at an even, steady beat. I'm going to show a quick video of me playing this exercise. At the beginning of the video, you'll hear some clicks, which is the metronome, and that gives you a steady beat to play along with. I'll count to 4 before playing in order to establish the beat. We'll go deeper into how to use a metronome in a later video, but most of these early exercises will have the metronome there to help you keep a steady beat. So this is how this exercise would sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try playing it yourself 2 or 3 times and remember to keep a steady beat. Say the finger numbers aloud as you play this. That might help. You'll notice that the 2s and 3s are staggered a bit, so the 3s are shown a little higher than the 2s in the notation. So this acts as a visual reminder that you're going to be moving up the keyboard when going from your 2 finger to your 3 finger. When going from your 3 finger to your 2 finger, you're going to be moving down the keyboard. You'll see more of this as we move on. With this next exercise, we're going to be using our left hand. So put your 2 and 3 fingers on the keys shown just a little left of the center of your piano, but remember that your 2 is now on your right and your 3 is on your left, so it's reversed from the right hand. So this exercise should sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause the video and play through it a few times yourself, and then rewind and try playing along with me. Remember to say the finger numbers aloud and keep your steady beat. So with the left hand, moving up and down the keyboard is going to be opposite when you're looking at finger numbers. So going from 3 to 2 is moving up, and going from 2 to 3 will be going down. Just remember to use this visual cue to know when you're moving up and down the keyboard. This third exercise has you using both hands. You're going to start with the right hand and transition into the left hand. Try your best to keep a steady beat. Your first couple times through, you might need to pause when you're switching hands, and that's perfectly normal. Just run through the exercise a few times and just focus on hitting the right notes and using the right fingers, and your hands will learn what they need to do. Your goal here is to move from your right hand to your left hand smoothly without missing a beat. So try to focus on these 4 things when learning and playing this. Keeping a steady beat, not pausing when switching hands, saying finger numbers aloud, and keeping your eyes on the notation, not your hands. So this is what this should sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next exercises have us changing our keys a bit. Now take your right hand and put fingers 2, 3, and 4, which would be your index, middle, and ring fingers, on the group of 3 black keys to the right of those 2 black keys we were using before with our right hand. So here's the next exercise, and this is how this would sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause the video, play through it a few times on your own, then rewind, play with me. The next exercise is similar to the previous one, but now we're going to the left hand. So take your left hand, put fingers 2, 3, and 4 on the group of 3 black keys to the left of the 2 black keys we were using before with our left hand. Here's the exercise, and this is how this should sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. it a few times on your own, rewind and play with me. This last exercise has us using both hands on these two groups of black keys. Remember to keep these four things in mind. Here's the exercise, and this is how this would sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one last thing I want to mention. There's a good chance that your ring and pinky fingers are going to be a little weak unless you've played an instrument before and have developed some strength and dexterity in them. If that's the case, you may catch yourself using your middle finger to help your ring finger, like this, or using your ring finger to help your pinky, like this. We aren't using our pinkies yet, but you really need to catch yourself if you do this, and make sure to avoid it. You might be doing this subconsciously without even thinking about it. So when I say to use the 4 or 5 finger on a key, only use a 4 or 5 finger. It might be hard at first, but if you keep at it, you'll start to develop strength and dexterity in those fingers, and you'll be able to play with them just fine. If you're using your other fingers to help your weak fingers, they'll never develop enough to play on their own. This is extremely important, so don't brush this off if you catch yourself doing this. That's it for lesson 2. From here on out, most of these videos will have a worksheet to go along with each lesson, which you can find in the lesson section of thebrokenkey.net. These are very important to do, as they'll really help drill in the concepts from each lesson. The way you're going to get better is through exposure, and doing these worksheets is just another way to reinforce all these new ideas. So do me a favor, and please don't skip them. Feel free to email me at derek@thebrokenkey.net with any questions you might have. Thanks for watching. See you next time.